Hey there, business owner. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. This is our weekly episode, and I'm so happy you are here. Let's get started. I'm so happy you are here for this week's episode. Today, I am joined by Joan Floura. Joan is the founding member of Floura Teeter Landscape Architects based in Baltimore, Maryland, and this year she is celebrating 20 years in business. She shares the start of her business as she was entering into motherhood and reflects on what has really worked for her and her partner along the way. You will gain so much knowledge and inspiration from Joan. It's a wonderful interview, and I just admire her and her leadership, and I know that you will just adore Joan and learn so much from her. I'm so excited you're here. I also wanted to personally invite you to our 5-day challenge over in Facebook. It's the 5-day September Survive and Thrive Challenge. I will be coaching you live daily, and it will be high intensity, high touch, and I will not be holding anything back. I will be showing up for you, so make sure you join the group and show up. It starts September 14th. I can't wait to see you there. Take a listen to today and enjoy the interview with Joan. Keep evolving, entrepreneur. I am so proud of you. Welcome, Joan. How are you today?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
I am so well. I am so happy that we are joined today by Joan Floura. She is the founding partner of Floura Teeter Landscape Architects, which is an architectural firm based out of Baltimore, Maryland, and you are celebrating your 20-year anniversary. Congratulations.
We are. Thank you. It's amazing.
I have always honestly admired you. We met many years ago. I'd say probably about 5 or 6 years ago through the Women's Presidents Organization. And you have always been one of my friends in the business world and someone I trust and someone I admire and someone that I just absolutely enjoy spending time with, whether we are traveling to a conference or we are hanging out in one of our meetings or simply just being together. And I love your knowledge on the different world beers. That's a really cool fact about you, isn't it?
Totally important in life, especially in quarantine.
Yes. Well, and also your hobby of traveling different libraries across the United States, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. Got a new one going to be starting in North Dakota for Teddy Roosevelt. So I'm super excited that in like 10 years, I'll be able to see that.
That's amazing. So give us the quick backdrop. Let's rewind 20 years ago. Give us just what that quote unquote landscape, pun intended, looked like when you started the company, and take us through 20 years pretty quickly. And then we'll get into what business looks like now and how we can help other business owner listeners out there, Joan.
Sure. So I moved to Baltimore in 1990, and I had about 10 years of experience when I became pregnant with my first daughter. I think I always knew that I wanted to own my own firm or at least work for myself. I think I've heard you talk about these things. Like when I was 14, I had a little business. And so I think it was always sort of in my DNA. And when I was expecting my oldest daughter, I decided to quit a paying job and join with a friend of mine and start Floura Teeter Landscape Architects. I think it sort of shows you don't know what you don't know. Like if you knew maybe how hard it would be and all the struggles, would you do it? But I would do it again in a heartbeat. And so now 20 years later, my almost 21-year-old is moving off to college 2 weeks ago for her 3rd year already. And it really does go by in a blink. It's been almost exclusively an awesome ride. Little challenges here and there, but it's been amazing.
Well, and what you have grown and you have built along with your partner has been just a wonderful footprint in this area. So tell us what the team looks like today and what type of work you are doing and specializing in.
Sure. Well, of course, when we started, it was just my partner and I, and we grew kind of slow. And as I look back, I think maybe those were some of the early mistakes we made, the fear of hiring. Once we sort of got over that fear, We grew fairly fast, probably starting at year 5. Fast for us, I think, is relative. Right now, we're headquartered in Baltimore. We have 2 offices in Pennsylvania, one in Pittsburgh and one in Philadelphia. And we have a staff of 19. So we're exclusively landscape architects with arborists as well. And most of our work is in the Mid-Atlantic region, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, but up to New York and down into Virginia, Southern Virginia. So we are a landscape architectural design firm. So we don't do installation, but we do everything from initial planning on projects through construction administration or seeing things built. On projects as small as a tiny pocket park, a parklet like now people are doing with cafes outside. That's the kind of thing we do. And we were able to collaborate with another friend of ours to help her design her outdoor space at Sobo, which was great. And but as large as the Purple Line in the Washington metro area. So projects of all sorts, scale, sizes, everything.
And it's amazing how crucial outdoor space is now more than ever. And you mentioned something from helping a local restaurateur to expand their business and survive in this type of landscape that we're in as we currently are in the midst of COVID, right? And all the way to the Purple Line, which is such an amazing project for the Mid-Atlantic region.
I'm excited for it to be done. I mean, I think it's going to do a lot for underserved communities around that area to give people transportation to get to work and do all those sorts of things. But we're a ways away from finishing that. So.
Wow. So let's rewind. You mentioned when you were 14 that you had a little business. What was that?
Wood carving. So I had a waterfowl, like decorative waterfowl birds, songbirds, sort of wood carving business. I learned to do that when I was 14 in northern Minnesota, and ironically that stopped pretty much the time I had my daughter and started a business for wood carving these days. But yeah, I used to do little art shows around the area and sell my wood carvings. And then even when I moved to Baltimore, I had some of my birds in a store down at the Inner Harbor for sale. So it's always been like a little side gig thing for me.
And isn't it amazing how those first side jobs, side hustles, or whatever you want to call it, not more than a hobby, but when you really are in that transactional state of, trading your product for money, you learn so much. So what do you remember learning the most from that business?
Oh, wow. Well, I do find it interesting now in that people buy my stuff like at yard sales and return it to me. So now I have all these crazy wood carvings that I made when I was like a teenager, and I don't know what to do. I don't know. What did I stick with me? I think one memory is I remember my dad sitting down with me. It was my first checking account. So an account when I was 15, and I remember my dad sitting at the kitchen table teaching me how to balance a checkbook and taking it down to the penny. And boy, would he be sad if he knew how bad I was at that now. But that was one of my first memories of because my dad was a side hustler.
Was he?
He had like a job and then like 10 other things to make him happy.
Wow. And you just brought back a flashback of my dad sitting me down at the dining room table and teaching me that. And I fast forward to like our kids, like, will we do that? Will we sit down and actually teach them a checkbook, or will it be like, here's how Venmo works? Who knows?
I know. I think it's that, because I am finding out now that I'm sending my second kid off to college, all the things that I never taught them. And
right?
It's glaring. Yeah.
Wow. They will pick them up.
Actually, they'll. Yeah.
So let's go back to January 2020, February 2020. going into the year. How did you feel at the beginning of this year?
I felt pretty amazing for the business perspective, actually. I mean, we just finished a new strategic plan. We hired an outside consultant to help us do a strategic plan for like a 3 to 5 year book. And we had all the staff involved. I think everyone was really engaged and really fired up. And, we sort of had this path set, and I think we launched it mid-January. So we had a few events to sort of launch that. And then I remember, I don't know, maybe early February, we had a meeting on one of our big jobs, and it got canceled because someone had been to Wuhan and was supposed to be in the meeting. And so they postponed it and put that whole office in quarantine. And I sort of remember we all chuckled a little bit. And that was like the first time that like the realism of the whole thing sort of started to set in, I think. But I was totally fired up and optimistic. And I have to say, I remain optimistic, but, so much out of our control.
Absolutely. Well, and you talk about the glaring moment. Everyone seems to have that glaring moment in their memory of like, okay, wait a minute. This is going to be something. This is going to be something. Who knows what this is, but this is something that is a real thing that is here, or somehow is here, and is going to interrupt life as we know it, right? You remember that kind of, the meeting was canceled. All right, let's see. What does that mean?
I do remember then following that, my partner, Erin, and I went out to lunch with another business owner who was from New York City. And I remember saying, I think we have to have a meeting and have a plan. Like, I think somehow we have to have a COVID plan. And my friend who has a business in Manhattan is like, really? Like she was so in the weeds of running her business that she didn't have a chance to sort of think about it. And that was the first time we talked about, that was probably like the 15th of February or something like that.
So you were really instinctively ahead of a lot of people there, because a lot of
I didn't do anything.
Well, but you had that glimmer. You had that entrepreneurial gut instinct, which is just almost like a sixth sense for a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
So then, when did you have to really shift things for your team, and what did that look like?
Well, for us, I feel like we were built to do this transition, our firm. And one great thing for us is that 3 years ago, we started our 2 Philadelphia offices. And so we've been doing Zoom remote staff meetings for 3 years.
Wow.
The team has been communicating using Zoom for a long time. We probably had room to get better at it. I would say shortly after that mid-February meeting that Erin, the first thing that we did was we went that next Monday and told everybody, make sure every piece of, your computer works at home. Make sure you all have, because we have to configure our computers so that they could log into our system. So asked everybody to take their stuff home and make sure it all worked and all of that. And that was like mid to late February, I guess. And I don't know that they necessarily did it right away. So every week we kind of mentioned it. And then, I don't know, that week, early March, that second, like around the 10th or something, we told everybody that we were starting that Monday working from home permanently. And some people, I think, came in because I think it was before the state order. And some people, I think, naturally thought we were overreacting, I think. But that must have been before the state order. And then I remember typing on a Friday that, I used to like write encouraging notes to them every week, but now it's going to be like 400 weeks. And I don't think I have it in me to write encouraging notes for that long. So I just said, today I'm focusing on moving my stuff home permanently. And I asked everybody to please do that. And so they did. And I think it's been a pretty seamless transition for us, actually. And we're lucky we didn't really have to pivot, and change too much of what we did. But yeah, So we're planning on working from home indefinitely,
Okay.
probably into the fall of next year.
Okay. And that's a good plan, and it works for you all. And with a team of 19 being so cohesive remotely really is to be commended. Your team is just amazing, and it really goes to show how you and your partner are as leaders. So let's talk about, we have a lot of business owner listeners out there that are in partnerships. So let's talk a little bit about through the years, your partnership has just really been a yin and yang, and a really great just fit. So what's your advice to the partners out there that are business owners that's worked for you all through the years?
Yeah, so I think one thing that's great for us is I think we both bring different skills to the table,
Mm-hmm.
not competing for the same space, if that makes sense. I think we both have different strengths, and Lord knows we've had ups and downs like every partnership is, and I am forever grateful that I haven't done this alone, because it really is nice to have another person that you can vent to and do the sort of behind the scenes worry and fret about cash receivables and
Mm-hmm.
cash receivables and all those sorts of things that business owners talk about. Somehow we found balance in that way, and I think we naturally evolved. Like initially when we started the business, I think we both started it with a passion for design and doing landscape architecture. When you work for somebody else, you have to they're the boss, they're dictating what the design is, and you're sort of responding as you move through your career. And so I think one of the founding reasons we started this was because we wanted to be the designers. We wanted to make the decisions. And I remember thinking how shocked we were, how fast things moved, because we actually didn't have to go through 3 levels of, somebody approving stuff and commenting. So that's where we started. We both wanted to have families. We had young families, his a little bit older than mine, and be able to have that sort of freedom
Mm-hmm.
and be able to design. And then very quickly, you realize, crap, we have to get work, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that became sort of what I focused on, was business development, marketing, and bringing in the work. And Aaron has always really focused more on the operations. So initially he did the designs more than me, and I would bring in work. And then over time, our staff really exclusively does all the designing, and he's more of a COO type. And I'm, I guess, more CEO, but also marketing, business development. And I am still active on jobs.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you say that you really complement each other, and you're not competing for anything within the space, or kind of living on top of each other in the world of your business and what you handle. You really complement each other, and starting out with the same mission and vision and goals of wanting to be business owners that have families and that can really have that passion for the design and the purpose of what you do. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. So I it's you're giving so much bravery. You lead with so much bravery and so much courage even from the beginning, when you said, okay, pregnant, got to quit my job, going to do this on my own. Let's figure this out. But I also love how you said, I'm so grateful that I didn't do this alone, because you do have to have those outlets. Thankfully, you have it in an amazing partner. And I know that you have a really great, you have outlets outside of the business too to go to, which has always been a healthy thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
So where else do you gain your motivation, your routine, are you a reader, a podcast listener? Like, where do you get all of your sparks of those ebbs and flows that we face as business owners to keep going?
Yeah, I am not a reader, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that, because I think I've lost so much, or I'm behind in certain parts of life because I'm not. But then I meet all these other great people who I admire who aren't readers either. I do read motivational and inspirational books nonstop, though.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Now, I just bought Dare to Lead, so I'm super excited to read that. And I do a lot of books on tape.
Yes.
I just find it easier to focus. And I'm in the middle of reading Grit.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the kind of books that I like to read. I don't really read too much other things. And I read, like I subscribe to Inc. and Harvard Business Review and those kinds of things. And I find those inspirational. I think I really am inspired by the network of people that I'm around.
Mm-hmm.
Have different, like of course the WPO group that you and I met through, and I have, friends that are outside of our business that I find from all walks of life that help inspire me. And I guess I learn by doing. I've always been that way. I feel like I learn much differently than others, so I sometimes need to see things done. So for me to talk to people and hear little nuggets of information and ask questions. A few years ago, in 2014, I did the Leadership Maryland program.
Yes.
Which was remarkable in many ways, but I really got a great network of some women friends and male friends that I stay in touch with that, because they're more executive kind of level people, but they're also like my dear friends. So it's a funny combination of both my worlds. And they're amazing because they've lived and done everything that I am going through. So it's really easy for me to reach out to them. And they're almost like, what is it, like high school or elementary friends where you don't see in a really long time, and then you do, and it's like an immediate a connection sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so those are the things that really keep me going and help me be connected, I think. And podcasts, I listen to some. I'm a humongous Simon Sinek fan. I like Malcolm Gladwell. My daughter introduced me to Everything is Alive.
Okay.
Interviews of inanimate objects.
Wow.
Which I find hilarious.
Oh, I need to check it out.
Yeah,
podcast junkie. I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny. It's like the one interview is that she's interviewing Matryoshka dolls. The poor little one who can't open up and put anything inside, and how she feels.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he can't see anything, and he's always hidden. So they're very funny, but they're strange.
Yeah, when it gives you that brain break of just like, okay, like let's just unplug for a second, but still like listen to something that's like, entertaining, right?
Yeah. I feel that I really at the end of the day, I need to like really just shut down and do mind numbing something.
I agree. And Malcolm Gladwell actually has a new podcast out. I don't know if you've.
I know.
Okay. Do you like it? I haven't listened.
I haven't listened, but I need to.
We'll have to do a little podcast club on the sidelines and listen to it and share our reviews on the sidelines.
For sure.
So, okay. So let's talk about 2020, Q4, 2021. How are you feeling the ripples of this economy? What is like internally your gut feeling on all of this as it relates to your space and the Mid-Atlantic area and landscape architecture and infrastructure and building and everything that you touch? Are you seeing this? What's the speed that you're seeing?
Well, for us, we're really busy now, and we're busy into the middle of the fourth quarter, and projecting out strong, like 6 months and beyond, has always been a little iffy for us, just because of the way we win work and this fast pace. So if you didn't know what was going on in the outside world, the pandemic, the election, and all that, you would think we're set up. It's normal. It's a normal thing. But I know that it's not normal, and I'm really worried about late winter, early 2021. For us, we do about 50% state and government work and about 50% private work, and it varies 60-40 different years. So the fact that Maryland state has no money is extremely concerning for us. and in some of the work we do, they've gone to sort of doing really massive projects. So there's less smaller stuff, it's awesome if you win the big thing, but it's not so great if you don't win the big thing. So that has me concerned. I know we're optimistic. Virginia apparently is in a much better financial situation. And so we've been winning a lot of work there. So we're optimistic. I'm trying to plan to get our foot in the door for federal work, but I don't think that's going to happen until like 2021, something like that, just because we are in the process and it takes a while to sort of get that going. Of course, the election has me scared to death. And I feel like a lot will depend on that, right? I wish they would do an infrastructure package because fundamentally, as much as I think we have enough roads and all that, we do need to fix the ones we have, and we get a lot of work from that. So right. I would like it if they did that kind of a financial package for the states, because that would help us and certainly help my industry.
Right. And, you know, and one.
But yeah, I mean, so far we've been doing proposals one after.
That's good. Are you there? Joan?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So you've been doing proposals?
Yeah, we've just been doing a lot of proposals. Like the other day we submitted a proposal, which I think either 24 or 19 people submitted for, and I feel like that was way higher than might have been in a normal environment. So people might be reaching. I don't, you know, of course, the next thing to come is people go low in pricing, which doesn't help anybody. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we're going after work we're perfectly qualified for. So, you know, I'm optimistic, if that's fair to say.
It's very fair to say. I think that is a solid word. It's a real word. It doesn't mean that you're not being realistic and honest and informative about things, but it still means that you know that there is good to come at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Right? No matter if it's tomorrow or if it's January or if it's you know, in the fall of next year. And that's something that has always been interesting to listen and learn and hear and study and understand about your business is not only your sales cycle, but then your project length and cycle, and then, you know, the accounts receivable side of things. Yeah. You and your partner do that so well, orchestrate that so well, especially with a team of 19, keeping the right rhythm of people that you can really show up, like you said, as rock stars. You guys are 20 years, you can do the work, you know what you do well, and winning those bids is just is amazing for the end receiver, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think like now the huge concern I have is balancing burnout with the staff, because they're working like dogs and they're doing a great job. Like our utilization rates are at and near 100%.
Wow.
I mean, and that's like unheard of, but you know, the other side of that is they're going to burn out. So I think everyone's really motivated, really nervous. We do have a lot of work. Like, you know, we may end up having to hire to get through this little bit here. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, and now I have, I think, 6 people that have kids in school.
Right.
So the next thing that we have to figure out.
And there is a lot of hiring happening out there, interestingly enough, from what I've been seeing. And not only that, but you mentioned the burnout, and the burnout is so different than what it traditionally was. You know, the burnout of the household behind the scenes being really just pulled in a million directions as parents, working parents, and it's just a different rhythm right now. So they're lucky to have you as a leader. They're lucky to have you just being so aware of that. So tell me this, for women and men, college graduates in that space, someone who's looking to get into your world, your industry, what are your words of wisdom to them?
Well, I know I get resumes a lot these days from college graduates that can't seem to find their their place, a new job or their first career job. And my message is, don't lose the faith. I graduated in a recession too. And I got my first job. I moved to Baltimore. I drove my little tiny car all the way here. And 6 months later, I got let go. So that was the 1990 recession. Almost everybody in our industry has suffered through one of those. So I just tell them, stay connected to the industry in some way, whether you're volunteering, so that you can show people that you did something, and don't give up hope and just keep trying. It'll pass and there'll be jobs again. So I know that in my industry, when these things happen, then maybe 5 or 10 years down the road, you're like, we really need a project manager, but there's none available. And then you go, oh, what was 10 years ago? 2008. Well, why everybody left people leave the profession and go on to do other things. And then there's voids for that level of leadership. And it's like traditional within the architecture. I think I don't know about engineering, but for sure in the architecture world.
So interesting. So that's such a good perspective there.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I tell them. I don't know whether they appreciate it or not, but it'll pass and they'll get a job. So.
And again, it just goes back to your real honesty and just your genuine, you're such a good person, Joan. And I'm just so glad we had this time. So how can we help you? What do you want to put out to the universe? What do you want to ask of us, of this audience? How can we help you? How can we support you?
Oh, geez. I mean, for me, the support that I get from is like the different happy hours that people have and just connecting and knowing resources. And I think back to the one happy hour you held virtual and, hearing somebody needs a CFO and now I have a staff that needs someone to help tutor, and just even those little simple 30-minute to an hour calls are invaluable to help grow your network. And it's so great to know that you're not alone.
Absolutely.
Everybody has sort of the same. That's the thing I thought was sort of hilarious about WPO actually, is that I had never really been in a group of business owners from such various occupations.
Right.
And I remember leaving there thinking, oh my God, people that paint houses have the exact same issue that I do. And the people that put IT in it's all exactly the same. We just have a different skill.
Yes, those growing pains. And,
yeah,
I've heard a saying recently, and I've been using it: new level, new devil, because every time you get to that, whether, it's past the $2 million mark or past the $5 million mark or $10 million breakthrough mark and up and beyond, always, you need that outside support. You need to feel surrounded. You need to feel like you have a safe outlet to vent, a judgment-free zone, a place to just even go have a cocktail or mocktail and say, whew, just listen, right? It's so true. And by the way, your recommendation for the CFO, the gentleman that you met on the networking happy hour, hired her, and he has been so thrilled. So your resources are awesome and tremendous.
Yes, she's amazing.
You have a great network, and you should be so proud of the company, the team, the partnership, the family that you have grown, and the community impact that you have brought to the Maryland and surrounding areas, Joan. It is tremendous. And we didn't even mention a lot of the accolades that most recently, right?
Oh yeah, the top 50 women-owned businesses in Baltimore. Yep.
In Maryland.
Maryland.
In Maryland.
Yes.
Yep. Top 50 women-owned.
Yeah. No, and next time I need to feel better about myself, we'll have to do another one of these because you've been far too kind.
Well, I mean every word, and you know that. And I know that our listeners out there are going to get so many really, really important just perspective about so many different topics that we touched on. I know that for me, what I'm taking with me personally is And I work on the timber industry side of things. Sean and I work together. And, when you said not competing for the space in the business, that really struck a chord because, sometimes you do end up on each other's toes and you don't mean to, but when you really do try and stay in the line and compliment, and especially like in this COVIDville when everything really has crushed into one big, I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It's like in a blender, right?
Certainly
The top's about to come off.
Yeah.
Oh, well, any last minute words of wisdom before we wrap up, Joan?
I don't think so. I just think, the network is of friends and business owners is like invaluable to me on so many levels, from parenting advice to cash receivables to, oh my God, I'm never going to make it through this day, to what is the best vodka that I can get on the shelf.
Right.
Any of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So true. Well, I love hearing your story always. I love where you're going, and I can't wait to just see what comes next and where you evolve to next. And I'm just so proud of you, Joan. Thanks for being here today. Thank you so much.
This was great. Thank you so much. And you have a great day and good luck with everything you do.
Wow. What an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@ievolveconsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.